Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining. Serena Russo Group acknowledges the First Nations people of the country, the traditional custodians connected to the land, water, and community on which we live, work, and help others to live their best lives. We also pay respect to elders past, present, and emerging who strive to build a better and more sustainable future for future generations to come. Today's talk time or topic this month is supporting new energy apprentices through the Christmas period and beyond. Over the festive season, a lot of us face challenges, including things like financial stress, feeling of isolation, frustration, and high anxiety levels. So today we've got a guest speaker who is Lachlan, one of our psychologists within the Serena Russo Group. Lachlan will discuss with us helpful tips and coping strategies during this time. So thanks for joining us, Lachlan. It's great to have you today.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. It really is great to talk about this particular area at this time because, let's face it, it can be a pretty crazy time for a lot of people. There's a lot of people out there who, of course, love all the Christmas cheer, the lights, the presents. But for a lot of people, it's more of a disappointment. It's a reminder of loss. It's a reminder of financial stress. It's a reminder of relational stresses. It's a reminder that things are not maybe necessarily as they expect them to be at this stage in their life, or ever. And let's face it, even when things are going really, really, really well, there is so much to do around Christmas. There's parties, there's organising Christmas presents, or organising dinners. It's just such a busy time, and it can be so easy to become overwhelmed, even with the good stuff, even when things are going well. And so I'm hoping to have just a couple of really brief things to talk about here. I don't want to go too intense, but I guess the first thing that we want to acknowledge here is that it's actually okay not to feel good about the holiday period. That sounds like a funny thing to say, but it really is. There's a lot of people out there who aren't really comfortable or are feeling distressed, are feeling saddened for all the reasons that we just said. This is definitely not a universally happy period, despite what the ads and the movies and and people's Facebook posts say. Everyone is going to put on their best face. Everyone's going to have their success stories from the year that they're bringing to the Christmas party, it's just good for us to acknowledge that, you know what, good for people who are enjoying this. Let's not diminish that. At the same time, if we're not feeling okay, that's perfectly okay as well. We shouldn't feel obligated to feel any particular way about this period of time. The second little thing about Christmas, and this comes for any time when we're stressed, any time when there's something bigger coming up, is we can kind of feel like we have the obligation to do something extra special or put in a lot of extra complicated steps to manage that stress. And don't get me wrong, sometimes if there is something we can pull out of the hat, that can be handy. But often when things become more complicated, more stressful, we've got more things that we're trying to pack into that time, sometimes just narrowing down to the things that are already working. So, are you exercising? Keep doing that. Are you making sure that you have, do you get to bed on time? Like, is that something that you're usually pretty good at? Try and do that as much as possible. Are you good at drinking water and staying hydrated? Sounds super silly, but those little things that help us to keep in the rhythm can be the most handy things, because they're things that we're already possibly good at, whatever the thing is for you. And they're things that we have to think of less. And so they're the things that are going to help us to feel a little bit more stable and a little bit more grounded throughout this once again, pretty crazy time. Now, I put time to yourself, knowing that a lot of people might roll their eyes. Because let's face it, the part of the stress of this kind of festive Christmas period is that we do kind of get inundated with, as we said, the Christmas parties, the celebrations, the extra, that friend who's been ghosting you for the entire year and then all of a sudden wants to get in before the end of the year, all of this stuff. And so now is actually a really, really great time to remember, hey, we still actually deserve time to ourselves. We still need to prioritize to have some time to ourselves. And this also kind of comes with a little bit of thought about what are we going to do with that time to ourselves. Not all rest and relaxation is made equal. Sometimes, scrolling on our phone might be kind of relaxing, but I would imagine it's probably not as relaxing as going out and just having a brief walk, or doing that puzzle that you've been putting off. Or once again, everyone's going to have their own thing, but just knowing what your relaxation and time to yourself and what you're doing that is really important, because it's going to be different for every single person. The other difficult one at this time of year is healthy boundaries. Now, I could spend hours talking about healthy boundaries, but I guess the main thing here is communicating clearly what your expectations are, in a hopefully gentle kind of way. Sometimes it's hard to do that gently with some family members or friends, but essentially communicating what you need, when you need it, and of course that means just having a bit of a think about what it is that you need as well. Sometimes the craziness of Christmas, we know that we need something, but we haven't necessarily literally just sat down for 20 minutes, half an hour and thought, okay, what is it that I actually want from my family? Not presents, but like how do I want to be interacted with? How do I want to present myself here? What are my actual goals to getting through this period if it's a difficult period? The last one is, right, this period is going to end. like December, Boxing Day is going to come, and Christmas is going to be gone. And don't get me wrong, there'll be New Year, there'll be other things that are happening, but this period is going to come through, which means that there will be time to meet up with that friend who was trying to push to get in before Christmas. There is going to be time to catch up on some other things that maybe didn't quite get going. There's going to be an entire year, being able to just acknowledge that as much as Christmas can look like this gigantic thing, this period can look like such a big thing in our faces, it is going to end. It's likely that you've got through quite a few Christmases beforehand. It's going to happen again. Acknowledging that and giving yourself that kind of bit of context can be really, really helpful. Because as I said, our brains are really, really good at making things the be-all and end-all. The last thing I just want to say is going back to that first point. It really is okay not to feel okay in this period. We don't have to feel obligated to feel overjoyed. We don't have to feel excited. You are not alone there. Make sure that you're seeking out those people who you can trust, who you do want to talk to. It's not going to be everyone. Making sure you can seek out who might be able to appreciate that with you as well. There are tons of other things that I guess I could say, but these seems like the main things that should be reasonably easily implemented regardless of where people are at. I'm hoping that's going to be at least a bit helpful as far as navigating this what can be a pretty distressing time for a lot of people.
Yes, yeah, absolutely, Lachlan. I think I've taken from that, it, like you say, it's okay to not feel good or not feel okay, but obviously also the biggest thing priority is looking after ourselves as well as family members. But if you're not okay and looking after yourself, the rest won't come as well. So, are there any other questions that we had? No, all good. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for your time, Lachlan. It's been a pleasure, and hopefully, and I know that it would be helpful to some of our apprentices out there with regards to some of the things that you spoke about, which is great. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope everyone has a happy Christmas and New Year.
Thank you so much. I really appreciated the opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Lachlan.